Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for February 25th, 2026. The road to Revolution in Los Angeles continues. I was at LA Live today, and I did see a promotional graphic for AEW Revolution, but unfortunately, I will not be in California for that. If you are in California in Los Angeles, I think Revolution is definitely a show worth checking out. Let's get to Dynamite, though. We opened up the show with the Young Bucks, a video package from them, and they said they will not be okay until they get their hands on FTR following FTR's attack on their family members at Collision. Things actually happening on Collision. I did see that clip. The Young Bucks went after their brother, and they ended up beating him up. Our first match of the evening was Jon Moxley versus Clon. Match was good, but I have to tell you, I did not care about it whatsoever because Clon to me is like one of the LWO guys going up against Roman Reigns. That's how I saw this match. It was fine, but I'll tell you, I think it was 10 minutes too long. Moxley should have beaten this guy in 3 minutes tops, and I think it almost went 20. It almost went the 20-minute time limit. We know damn well Moxley's not losing before he faces Takeshita, so why the hell are we getting an 18-minute match between Moxley and Clon? One of the bottom tier Don Callis guys. I don't know. Was it for me? But it was a good match technically. Moxley largely dominated it, but Clon did get in offense. And then Moxley hit a stop on the apron. And somehow Clon managed to beat the 10 count at 9.99. Because of course he did. Everybody beats the 10 count, don't you know? Moxley then hit a pile driver, but Clon has a neck made of steel, so he kicked out of that. And then Clon made a comeback, but then Moxley caught him with a cutter. They traded shots, and then Clon countered the stomp, delivered a diving stomp, basically the coup de grace, but Moxley kicked out of that. And then Moxley countered the portal bomb with the paradigm shift and then hit the Death Rider and got the 1-2-3 victory. So somehow Jon Moxley managed to overcome Clon on the road to Revolution and his match against Takeshita with no time limit. Man, he barely squeaked by with that one. I don't know how Moxley pulled that one off. We had a video package of Swerve Strickland turning heel against Hangman Page. And then Prince Nana introduced Swerve, said that they do not care about the $100,000 fine. Swerve stood on the table and cut a promo. He said he's not feeling guilty because he warned Page about getting in his way. And then he said Kenny Omega had the nerve to call him or call another wrestler the most dangerous wrestler in AEW. That's when Omega called Brody King the most dangerous wrestler in AEW. You had Swerve saying that he's moving forward with no regrets, and he put everybody on notice. It was a good promo from Swerve Strickland to establish him as a heel. He's got no regrets, which very much sounds like a babyface thing to say, but whatever. Then Brody King responded backstage and said he has a problem with Swerve. More on that in just a little bit. Next up, we had Orange Cassidy versus Gabe Kidd in a back and forth match. I might get hate for this one, but I don't really see the appeal of Gabe Kidd. He's a good wrestler, but why else should I care about him? To me, he just feels like another one of those grizzled young veterans. Like he could be the third man if they were a trio group. I'm just not into him. Like he feels very very bland as a personality, but people rave about him. He's got the New Japan history, yada, yada, yada. I don't care. Not my cup of tea. Match was good, though. Solid wrestling with these guys. Orange Cassidy built up momentum for a while. He did the diving DDT, but Gabe Kidd kicked out of that, and then Kidd countered the orange punch. He power bombed Cassidy, but Cassidy kicked out, and then Cassidy hit the beach break. Kidd kicked out of that, and then Kidd pulled the referee away and then gouged the eyes of Orange Cassidy while the ref was distracted, and then he hit the jumping pile driver and got the win. Post-match, Clark Connors, I think his name is, he interfered. Well, the match was over, but he came out there. We had a post-match attack, 2-on-1. But then Darby Allin with his Sting trench coat came out there and made the save. So clearly we got a tag team match being set up with these guys. We had Thunder Rosa backstage with Chris Statlander. It was confirmed that Statlander will be cleared, and then Thunder Rosa will get a world title opportunity against Tekla next week on Dynamite, which takes place in El Paso, Texas. So Thunder Rosa will be there with the Hispanic crowd going for the championship. But Chris Statlander warned Thunder Rosa to be careful, and Thunder Rosa basically blew her off. So sounds like Thunder Rosa is getting her ass kicked next week, which she went from being like one of the top stars in AEW and, well, probably being fed to Tekla, and she's going to fall victim to the poison of the toxic spider next week on Dynamite. But hey, she got hurt a bunch of times and lots of reports about her in a negative light. And yeah, she just hasn't been able to recapture the momentum she had like in 2001 when she was at her peak in AEW. We had Kevin Knight versus Mansour, which was an interesting match. I mean, basically a squash match. Mansour barely gets on Dynamite. He's essentially a collision guy. And Kevin Knight made short work of him. Mansour did get in a little bit of offense. This match went about as long as the Moxley and Clon match should have gone. But wrestling, right? We got to have our 19 minutes of wrestling. Kevin Knight picked up the win with the UFO splash. And yes, Mansour didn't even get an entrance. So yeah. Guy is basically enhancement talent. He's a solid wrestler, but doesn't really stand out. WWE didn't keep him, and he hasn't really shown that he's anything better than just an entertaining body to have that can get beat up. He's kind of like a Kit Wilson type of guy, or a Santino Marella or Heath Slater, one of those types of guys. We had Kevin Knight speaking after the match, and he said that Hangman Page is going to wipe the floor with MJF, and he wants the first title opportunity when Page wins. We'll see if that happens. And speaking of Page and MJF, we had the segment to determine their stipulation. Now, I must be a moron because last week I thought they had already set that up. I thought Page clearly stated Texas Death Match, and that was in exchange for Page putting his world title opportunities on the line in the match. So Page puts that on the line, and he gets the Texas Death Match. So I was very confused that they were out here determining what the stipulation was going to be. MJF had a coin. He wanted to flip a coin to see who gets to pick. And first thing I thought is, well, likely a double-sided coin. And MJF made a reference to Cody Rhodes, saying that he's going to end another AEW career just like he did in the past. Did not mention Cody by name, though. Remember, Cody lost and could never challenge for the world title, and then ultimately left AEW. Then MJF insulted the fans in Denver, Colorado. the Mile High City, they're known for their weed. He said, if you smoke dope, you'll go broke. And then MJF revealed that if he wins the coin toss, it would be a one-way no DQ match, meaning MJF could do whatever he wanted. Page would get DQ'd if he acted out. So then MJF flipped the coin and he won the coin toss. Page was very upset, but then as MJF was leaving, Page got on the mic and said he wanted to see the quarter. MJF declined. He tried to leave. The baby faces, though, cut him off on the stage, and MJF had to give up the coin. And as it turns out, it was, in fact, rigged. And then Tony Schiavone heard through Tony Khan in the earpiece that because MJF cheated, it will officially be a Texas death match at Revolution. This was entertaining, but I feel like the whole segment was unnecessary. I already thought they were doing the Texas death match, so we just had this long segment just to get us to where I thought we were going anyways. But yeah, they did a good job. I liked MJF with the coin, even though it was very predictable. Jeremy Dorset sent in a $2 super chat, says, is Tony Khan completely clueless with AEW? Not at all. I think Tony Khan makes some good decisions, and I have enjoyed AEW programming as of late, and I think Revolution is shaping up to be a tremendous show. I think Tony Khan does know what he's doing, and I'm not going to say that he's clueless, but I think that, at some point, I think if AEW wants to grow to a higher level, he'll need to have some other minds coming in and changing things up a little bit, but I think he has a pretty good sense on what his core audience wants. City by the Bay sent in a $2 super chat, says, did MJF lose his luster as a major star? I don't know. I think his time off and then him coming back and just floundering for a while, feuding with Jeff Jarrett and Dustin Rhodes and then being in the Hurt Syndicate, I think that hurt him a little bit. He's finally back on track, though, and I definitely think he should be at the top of the card. He's one of the most entertaining guys, if not the most entertaining guy in the company. So I like the fact that he's champion. I do agree that his star power, I think, has diminished a little bit since his peak in 2023, and part of that was just him being away, and also part of it him just not really doing all that much. But now he's back, and I feel like he's getting back on track. All right, next up we had, oh, by the way, they were chanting "You effed up" at MJF. Really good crowd, by the way, in Denver. Next up, 9:15, we had the Babes of Wrath versus MegaBad, which was a good match, but unfortunately, Penelope Ford got hurt. They were fighting on the outside, and Penelope did this moonsault to the outside and didn't look like she got caught. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, hopefully she's not hurt. But unfortunately, when we came back from the break, she was nowhere to be found. And as Willow was making the comeback for her team, Lena Cross, who's the third member, or basically their third person, she came in and attacked Willow randomly to cause a DQ. It felt very much like a WWE finish, but as it turns out, they had to call an audible because Megan Bayne got hurt. Megan apparently hurt her knee or leg doing that moonsault, and she just came back from an injury not too long ago. Very unfortunate for her. Best wishes to her. Definitely took the steam out of this match, and I don't know if we were getting a title change, but it certainly felt like we were going in that direction. So very, very unfortunate that this happened. And again, best wishes. I meant Penelope Ford if I said Megan Bayne by mistake. Penelope Ford is the one that got hurt. I suppose they could always have Lena Cross team up with Megan Bayne and they can win the titles. We'll see what they do. Then we had Brody King versus Mark Davis. Predictable match here. This was what I like to call a rebound match after Brody King lost to MJF. He comes back. This is his rebound. And Mark Davis is basically Lance Archer or Brian Cage. He's a physically imposing guy, but he's there to make others look good. It was very much a meat match, crowd chanting meat. They're doing the hard shots back and forth. The crowd chanted F Ice, as they've been doing for Brody King. And Brody did end up getting the win with the lariat. Good match here for what it was. And then afterwards, Brody got on the mic and said that he wanted to fight. He called out Swerve Strickland to a match in his backyard of Los Angeles, California. So it looks like we're getting that. Only problem is with Swerve turning heel and being built up in this manner, pretty clear that he's winning this one. But we'll talk about predictions in a couple of weeks. And Bandito was out there with his buddy and also wanted to fight. And that fight was answered by Andrade. So it looks like we're also getting Bandito versus Andrade at Revolution, which should be a great match. And with the Hispanic crowd in LA, like that could be a really good one. We had Kyle Fletcher and Okada backstage. Kyle Fletcher said that Ciampa's coming nowhere near the TNT title again. And then Okada pitched the idea of them being a tag team, the Proto Okada, something like that. And they're going to have a match on Collision. Then we had our main event, which they were billing as an 8-mile, I don't even remember what they were calling it. It was basically Anarchy in the Arena, but they had a cute name for it. Anarchy or 8 Mile. I can't even think of what it is. Mile High Madness, I think is what it was called. But yeah, Anarchy in the Arena. Essentially, that's what this was. And it was completely chaotic, as you might expect. Best thing on the show. Like, it was definitely a pay-per-view quality match. You had Perry getting attacked during his entrance. Then all the good guys came out. It was the Young Bucks, the Rascalz, and Jack Perry against Ricochet, Gates of Agony, and FTR. 10-man Mile High Madness. They were brawling in the crowd. Jack Perry's music, the Jungle Boy song, kept playing over and over again. At least it repeated once. I don't think it played more than twice, actually. But it was playing for a long time, and they were brawling in the crowd. Stokely Hathaway, he was in his wheelchair, and Wheeler was using it as a battery ram. And we had the weapons, and then Myron Reed came out with a fire extinguisher, helping out the Rascalz. But then FTR slammed him into a table. And then Jack Perry brought out a vacuum cleaner, which I can't remember the last time a vacuum cleaner was used. He hit Toa Liona with it, and the powder went everywhere, so that was pretty cool. And then the Bucks used the trash cans. Crowd was chanting AEW. The good guys did a 5-way super kick to Toa Liona, but then Jack Perry tried to give Liona a pile driver, but could not do it, and he was back body dropped over the top rope through a table on the outside. That got the holy shit chants from the fans. Bad guys dominated for a while. They worked over Wentz, Pete Wentz, or Zachary Wentz, I think is his name. But the pin was broken up. And then the Rascalz sent Ricochet off the barricade with a Spanish fly, putting him through a table. And then Jack Perry put Toa Liona through a table. Crowd, as Matthew pointed out in the chat, they were having a fetish for the tables. They were chanting one more table, and then the Bucks threw Wheeler Yuta out of the ring, sending Wheeler through the table. Did I say Wheeler Yuta? I meant Cash Wheeler. This is what happens when everybody's names sound similar. Then the good guys got the upper hand. They finished off Ricochet, hit all their moves to Ricochet, and then Jack Perry pinned Ricochet to get the 1-2-3 victory. So the national champion gets pinned But let's face it, nobody cares about that title, so I'm not going to say, oh, wow, yeah, the champion looks weak getting pinned, because I don't care about the title. Perry beat him, and I don't really see Perry winning the title, but anything's possible. And that was the end of Dynamite. Main event was awesome. The rest of the show was all right. I think it was a step down from recent weeks. Not quite as strong as the last couple of Dynamites, but still a good show. And the main event, I would say, was definitely a must watch. It was a lot of fun. Never a dull moment. Could have been on a pay-per-view. So I'm going 6 out of 10 for Dynamite. Good episode this week. Set up some more matches for AEW Revolution. But still, one of the problems I do have with Dynamite is that the matches tend to be very predictable. And even the MJF segment with Page, with the coin, we all knew it was going to be the double-sided coin. So yeah, it kind of felt predictable for the most part, but the usual good wrestling, it all balances itself out and makes for your fairly standard Dynamite, but the main event bumped it up to a little bit better than average. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. And I will be back in Michigan shortly. And we got SmackDown on Friday. So stay tuned for that. Much love and appreciation to you all. Stay safe out there. Love your life. And follow NoDQ.com at NoDQ, on social media outlets. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time.